Hello, Gold participants and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And I am here today with Fiona Jardine, and we're going to talk about her upcoming topic here at the Gold Lactation Online Conference 2019. Welcome, Fiona.
Hi there, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
It's so nice to have you here, and we are going to talk about this very important topic in just a minute. But our listeners would like to know a little bit about you. So tell us, number one, where in the world are you located?
So I live just outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland, but I'm originally from York in the north of England, and I've been in America about 11 years now.
Ah, so you just came here 11 years ago. It's quite a bit of time, but do you
hmm
often get to travel back home?
I do, especially now that I have a toddler. We
Ah.
go back to see the grandparents quite often, so we get to travel, and she has probably more air miles than I did before I was about 25.
That's right. So she gets to experience both worlds. That's
Absolutely.
wonderful. That's wonderful. And so tell us a little bit about your background and what you're up to these days.
So I have a bit of an odd background. I'm actually originally a lawyer,
Oh,
and then I went into information studies through library science. So I actually have a master's in library science as well. And I came to breastfeeding and lactation because of my own experiences with my daughter. I myself was an exclusive pumper, and I was just kind of came upon the topic and thought, hey, there's something to research here. And
mm.
ever since then, it's just been my passion, and it will be for the rest of my life.
And I can hear the passion in your voice. I have to tell you that it showed when you started talking about that, and it came out when you
Yeah,
first said, I'm a lawyer." That sounded kind of, like a matter of fact. And then you
yeah,
started talking about the lactation and that you could really hear your voice changed, and the passion
Mhm.
started to show right there. That's
That's definitely true. I never felt it for the law at all, and it was just something I thought I wanted to do when I was young.
uh-huh.
And then when I finally started doing it, I was like, this is just not for me.
And then you went on to library science. And you know what is really interesting? Your background is very, very interesting and very unique. But how you mentioned like your background in science and research came back to, what you're doing now, how you could use that in
Mhm.
your work today, right?
Absolutely. And one of the good things about having the background I do is I I'm an information person, so information is a big part of what I study. But
Mhm.
also, I'm really interested in how we can affect policy change too. So that's where
Yeah.
I'm hoping, after graduating from my PhD, to bring sort of everything all back together again.
Wonderful. So to kind of put the circle back together and
Yeah.
present it that way. That's absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. Do you have any connections to the breastfeeding world in the UK as well?
No, I don't, because I had my child here in America.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
as I, do my research and share my findings and talk to more people, of course, your network becomes international because
Right.
breastfeeding is inherently international
It
thing.
is,
Yeah. So, and
yes.
it's great. It's great to hear about all the different experiences, and particularly to do with pumping as well, because what is available in every country and what the history behind pumping and expressing milk is so varied depending on where in the world you go. So that just
Right.
becomes another layer of fascinating information that, I
Mhm.
hope in the future I can do more sort of international work to do with that as well.
Absolutely. That sounds great. Now let's talk a little about your topic, the breastfeeding without nursing. Why do some breastfeeders exclusively pump and what we can do to support them? And I think that's a very important topic. And I don't think we have enough information, so on it, out there. So I'm so glad you're researching it, you're presenting it, because we do need information. My background is I'm a midwife, so if for us, I don't think I do have enough. Yes, I know about breast pumps. Yes, I know, about cases of exclusively pumping and so on. But I must say, I don't feel I have enough expertise on this topic to support my clients well. So I'm really happy that you're presenting this. So So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm speaking based on the data that I collected in my research. As I mentioned before, I'm a PhD candidate, so I'm sort of in my last year of finishing that off. But I collected data from over 2,000 exclusive pumpers. Through a huge online survey that a lot of people took between an hour and a half to answer. So it's really
Hmm.
in-depth information. And it was from around the world, although a lot were from the US. There were international responses as well. So it was interesting to see where those differences were. Um, so basically, I sort of found out that most people didn't know about it until after they gave birth.
Hmm.
And a lot of people found out about it through informal information sources such as social media. And when they spoke to professionals about it, they didn't really know very much about it. So it's really important that we do more
Yeah,
research and we find out how common this is and what people struggle with, so that the
right.
people, the people who find themselves pumping have that support and information they need, because
Hmm.
most of the people in my survey didn't actually choose to do this. This was
Right.
something that, they were trying to nurse at the breast and it didn't work for whatever reason, and they still wanted to give that precious milk. And so they found
Absolutely.
themselves doing this, and, we need to support them too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with that. I think the focus has for a long time been, or, the information that's out there. I would say, like, of course, it's different. We have a lot of lactation professionals here that listen to this. They, of course, are much more familiar this is. But what the
Hmm.
general public learns about pumping is, yeah, that's something you do when you go back to work, or
Hmm.
if you need to leave your child for, during the day for a longer time, and a family member or relative or, daycare personnel has to give, milk to the child. So, but there's not enough information on the exclusively pumping. People out there that
Absolutely,
that are
I
doing that.
totally
So,
agree.
and to
And
give, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, one of my, I'm so passionate about this. I just want to share
Yes,
everything.
absolutely. Go ahead. Go
So
ahead. We want to hear your passion.
So one of the things I'm actually in the middle of doing, and I'm hoping to have it out within the next sort of 12 months or so, is actually an evidence-based guide to exclusive pumping, because I don't think there's anything really out there that, sort of particularly practitioners, lactation care providers,
Yeah.
can't really rely on, because it's sort of hearsay information, or it's not really approached from a more evidence scientific background. So that's one of the projects I'm currently working on, so that hopefully that can sort of be out there as a resource and as a reference
Exactly.
guide for professionals who are supporting people who exclusively pump.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful to have this an evidence-based guide to refer to, so we can help our clients in the best possible way, and based on evidence-based information, and not just some hearsay or something we read on, or what we consider is good practice, but having really it backed up by evidence that is and research that is wonderful,
Absolutely,
wonderful.
wherever possible, though, because
Yes,
there isn't that much research out there
right.
about exclusively pumping. There's quite a bit about pumping in general, but of course, we all agree, I think, that the more research about breastfeeding and lactation in general, the better. Um,
Yes,
but this is
absolutely.
definitely one of those areas that there's quite a significant need for more research, I think.
Absolutely. Well, and before I let you go, one of the questions I have for you is, what are you hoping that our listeners will take away from your presentation?
So I'm going to present sort of the perspectives of the people that answered my survey, which is why they exclusively pumped. I think that people think that, oh, pumps are everywhere now. More and more people are just choosing to do this, which is not what I found. Most people wanted to nurse. So I also
Mhm.
want to talk about the emotional toll that exclusive pumping can have, because it's not what these people wanted for the most part.
Mhm.
So there's
Yeah.
obviously some deep emotional aspects to this too. So just get an insight into what it's really like for exclusive pumpers. And then I hope to provide some practical and substantive information that attendees can go away with, that they can apply in their own settings, hopefully, generalized enough that it can be sort of adapted to whatever circumstance people find themselves in. So, like best things to say to exclusive pumpers so they don't feel
Mm.
judged, or,
Yes, absolutely. Good.
the kinds of information that they want, which might be surprising. I'm not going to give the game away, but it might be
No, yeah,
surprising to find out exactly what kind of information exclusive pumpers really want when they go see a lactation care provider.
absolutely. The information they want and need, and also I like that you brought up the language too. How can we support, and what can language do we use that is supportive, and so they do not feel judged, because we don't want to judge them. We want to help our clients
Absolutely.
and the families we're serving. But so that's very beneficial to have good language in there that we can use. And I'm looking forward to this. It sounds like really
Yes.
something that we can hands-on take back to our practice.
I hope so, and I'm really looking forward to sharing my what I know, and I'm sure I can learn from the people that are attend as well. And I'm looking forward to participating in the forum so we can have
Perfect.
a good open discussion about what this might look like elsewhere. Because I certainly I know what I know, but I also know that there's a lot I don't know, and I would love to hear from attendees about their experiences as well.
So that sounds great. So to our listeners out there, make sure you visit the forum then and have plenty of questions and feedback for Fiona here. So, because she wants to hear it, that's wonderful. And the more we all hear and we can all learn from each other, the better, right? The more information there is.
Absolutely, very, very
Absolutely.
true.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Before I let you go, I have to ask you one more question, not necessarily related to your presentation, but to your background here. I see on your slide you are obviously a PhD candidate, and you are an advanced lactation consultant and a postpartum doula. To our non-US and UK or listeners from non-major English-speaking world, what is that? Just to explain. Most of our listeners do know what it is, but sometimes we get listeners from all around the world, and they might not have heard that expression before.
Absolutely. So I help in the immediate postpartum period. So just after someone has a baby, I would go into their house and I would help with basically offering practical, emotional, informational support. So that might be help with breastfeeding, obviously, as a lactation consultant,
Mhm.
but also just with learning to adjust to life with a newborn, what maybe is normal newborn behavior versus, okay, we need to call your doctor kind of behavior, or,
Yeah, yeah.
and just helping the family navigate that very difficult transition for a lot of families. And just being there as someone, a non-judgmental, supportive person.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you for explaining that to us here.
Of course.
And thank you so much for sitting down here with us today and or chatting with me about, what your background is and about the upcoming presentation. It was really a pleasure, Fiona.
It was a pleasure for me too. Thank you so much.
And now to our listeners, I know you all want to find out more about this presentation. The presentation titled Breastfeeding Without Nursing, Why Do Some Breastfeeders Exclusively Pump and What Can We Do to Support Them? Make sure to visit our website at goldlactation.com. This presentation is part of the Gold Lactation Online Conference 2019. You do not want to miss it. Make sure you visit the website and you can find out, as I said, about this presentation and about the other presentations in the entire conference. So check it out. And I hope to see you there at the Gold Lactation Online Conference of 2019. Thank you everyone for listening today. Bye-bye.